We're getting outside for some spring sports today, and we're going to start with one of the country's top prospects in baseball.
We're headed to the Dallas area for this week's 5-star feature. When Texas high school baseball teams see Trey Rangel on the mound, they understand that they're likely in for a tough day. The junior at the Colony High School is the top-ranked pitcher in the 2026 class. He has a fastball that's already popping in the mid-90s. And he keeps hitters off balance with a deceptive changeup and a knee-buckling curveball.
Right now, I would say the fastball is the go-to. But I would say my favorite pitch to throw out of all of them has to be the curveball. I love it when, you know, a batter gets a little bit scared of it, makes him turn his shoulder a little bit, just like that.
His stuff's pretty electric on the mound when you watch him pitch. He's got good stuff, and his fastball's live. He's got a really good breaking ball. It's pretty tough for a hitter when a high school kid can throw 3 good pitches.
Growing up, Trey always assumed he'd spend his high school days playing for his father, Rudy, who's the head football coach and athletic director at the Colony. After all, Rudy was Trey's coach in football and baseball, beginning when he was very little and continuing through grade school. Things started to shift for Trey when he was about 13 years old. That's when he was suddenly throwing the baseball with a velocity that's rare for an athlete that age.
It was odd because it was really that 7th grade to 8th grade summer. There was a scout at a game in Houston watching another kid. Guy comes over and says, "Hey man, who's the other little dude?" And he even says little. It's like, "Who's that guy?" I said, "Well, that's my kid." I mean, he threw 82, 83. I'm like, what?
That's whenever I started getting the colleges follow me on Twitter, started getting a couple calls, and you know, when that starts happening in one sport, it's obviously you're like, okay, that's my sport.
And finally, the stuff as far as him physically happened. 7th to 8th grade and 8th to 9th grade, he grew almost 9 inches, 8 inches. And all of a sudden, that fastball that was low 80s in 7th grade, 7th grade year, jumped up pretty quick. And then as a freshman, he threw 90. Freshman summer, where he went to area code in California with my daughter. So obviously I coach football, and that comes first for me. And never forget, as long as I live, man, I'm at home watching on a laptop, and my daughter calls me. I'm like, "Man, what's going on? Is he nervous? What's up? Why are you calling me? He's about to go in there." He said, "Dad, he's touched 94 miles an hour on the Jumbotron." I'm like, "What are you talking about, Kel? Don't call me joking like that." I said, "Dad, he's feeling it." That particular deal, the scouts and all the people met my daughter. My daughter was there with him in California. They escorted them to the car because there's a lot of attention on him. But that's kind of how I kind of started looking at hey, he has a chance to be really good at baseball.
After Trey's freshman year, the path for his future seemed clear. The family made the difficult decision that Trey would hang up his football helmet and just focus on baseball.
I walk in a house, and all my family's, and I'm going, "What's going on, man? Is everything okay?" And my older daughter thinks she's in charge of everything. She's a nurse, and literally we call her the family manager. And so she goes through the whole thing and says, "Dad, we decided Trey's not playing football anymore." I said, "You did?" I said, the heck he's not. He's playing football. It took me about 2 weeks to finally understand what he wanted to do, and there was very emotional, a lot of tears being shed, because that's just kind of how we've always wanted. We always just talked about being together.
You know, I loved playing for him. He was he's my favorite person in the world. He coached me in baseball, coached all my friends, all the people I grew up with. So yeah, I loved him as a coach, but whenever I knew that wasn't going to be it anymore, it was so what. I know he coaches me just as much, even on the sideline. So yeah, it wasn't too big of a deal.
So I've taken another role on for him now, and don't have to do much. He's very obsessed with the sport of baseball, but it's been an interesting deal, man.
With his focus now on just one sport, Trey is able to channel his work ethic into becoming the best pitcher he possibly can. And there just aren't many high school players who can dominate the mound as he can.
It gives him a little more time in the fall, and you know, there's always a risk of injury. You know, this is a good area for football, so it kind of saves him the opportunity of getting hurt, and it gives him a chance to work on his craft a little more.
I would say he's one of the harder workers that I've seen and I've coached. This is my second group, just the way he goes about his business. And you'll see a lot of guys where they like to post a lot of workouts. They like to say, "Look at me, this is what I'm doing." Trey is very quiet about it. I'm pretty sure that his dad has to force him to post stuff on social media. And if it was up to Trey, he would just be in the background working and continuing to get better.
Trey has verbally committed to the University of Texas, but he still has one more season of high school ball to play after this one. He and his family are also well aware that a Major League Baseball team could draft him in 2026, but they're not thinking that far ahead at the moment. Trey's just taking things one day at a time and getting the most out of the year and a half he has left at the Colony.
We don't really talk about it too much since it's a year and a half is still so far, and I still have 2 more seasons and another summer season where injury could happen. So we never really focus on what could happen that far away. We just we worry about today and then the next day, but never that far.
We think about it and all that, and right now he's committed to University of Texas, and that's our focus. And we went to a game a couple weekends ago, and you start looking ahead too much, you lose a focus on the prize. And the prize right now is his next start, have a good start, help his team win, be a great teammate, and do those things. And that's kind of how we slow it down. And I don't let anybody look ahead. And I'm pretty aggressive with stopping that talk because he needs to be a high school kid, man.
The guys that I'm on the team with are people I've grown up with my whole life. For like Josiah, Colton Lang, Sean Keenan, those are guys I truly love. So those guys are my ride or dies. I love seeing them go do their thing. If something happens to me, I know they're going to be right there to pick me up.